Commander Monak remained alone in the command chamber. Everlyn's image still dominated the display before him, frozen beside Malek inside the facility. For several moments, he said nothing. Then he removed the recording and opened the route map beneath it. The system displayed the path the escaped group had taken since leaving containment, filling the chamber with security responses, sealed sectors, patrol movements, and automated predictions that continued updating beside each route. Monak removed the predictions one by one until only the structure remained. He followed the path ahead of Everlyn's position, studying every junction between the lower sectors and the facility core, then reached for the command controls. "Transfer local authority," the system responded. "Authorization required." Monak did not look away from the route map. "Command code, Monak 7 Prime." A brief pause followed as the system verified his identity. "Authorization confirmed. Initiate manual override." Across the facility, automated decisions stopped. Doors that had previously opened according to system classifications locked into place, patrol routes froze, and security responses withdrew from local control to await direct instruction. Monak selected the sectors ahead of Everlyn's group. One route remained open, the others sealed. He watched the new path form through the facility. Let her come. Far below Everlyn's group entered the next corridor without knowing the system around them had changed. At first, the difference was subtle. The lighting remained steady, the air continued moving through the vents, and no soldiers appeared ahead of them. Then the door behind them sealed. Kane turned immediately, while Kaelen crossed to the control panel beside it. The display resisted her access, opened for less than a second, and closed again before she could enter the system. "That didn't happen before," Kane said. "No," Kaelen replied. She tried again, then watched a thin line of light appear across the panel. A route map opened. Every adjoining path had been sealed except one. Kaelen studied the display, then looked down the corridor ahead. "Someone is choosing where we go." Everlyn considered the open route. If he wanted us dead, the corridor would already be full of soldiers. Kane kept his attention ahead. "Unless he's the one who sent the hunters after us, then he knows better than most what we're capable of." Lira chuckled quietly. "Which means he's scared of us." Kaelen shook her head without looking away from the panel. "Or he's sending us towards something he believes can kill us. He doesn't know how many escaped the hold, how many are still with us, or how many have already been taken deeper into the facility. He may not want to lose more troops finding out." Kaelruun studied the open route. "That is possible. Either way, I advise caution." Everlyn looked ahead for another moment. "Then we proceed carefully." Kane glanced at her. "We're still following it?" "He opened the path for a reason," Everlyn said. "We need to know what it is." She moved forward, and the others followed. The corridor remained empty, and Kane found that more unsettling than the presence of soldiers would have been. Until now, every section of the facility had contained some sign of movement. Guards crossing adjoining routes, systems responding elsewhere, doors opening and closing under instructions none of them could fully see. Now, everything ahead was still. Kaelen stopped at the next junction and accessed another panel, but it opened only far enough to confirm the route selected for them. The surrounding sectors had not merely been sealed. They had been emptied. "No patrols," Kaelen said. Kane looked down both adjoining passages. "You sure?" "They were withdrawn before we arrived." Lira's amusement faded. "He's clearing the way." "Or clearing the area," Kane replied. Everlyn kept her attention on the corridor ahead. "Same result." Malek adjusted the injured man as more of his weight sagged against him. The man tried to keep moving, but his legs gave beneath him, and Malek caught him before he reached the floor. "How bad?" Everlyn asked. Malek looked at her. "Worse." "We stop," Kane said. "No," the injured man replied, forcing the word out through shallow breaths. "Not for me." Malek lowered him carefully against the wall, but the man caught hold of his arm before he could move away. "They took others," he said, "before the hold opened." Everlyn crouched beside him. "You saw where?" "Only the direction. Deeper." His strength failed again, but his grip remained tight. "Find them!" Everlyn looked towards the corridor that had been left open for them. Whoever controlled the route might be leading them into a trap, but it was also taking them deeper into the facility, towards the prisoners they had come to find. She stood. "Malek carries him. We keep moving." Malek lifted the man without argument, and the group continued. Far above, Monak watched their progress through restored surveillance. The system attempted to label each action beside the footage: protective behavior, group dependency, reduced movement efficiency. He removed every label. Everlyn stopped at each junction before continuing. Kaelen checked every available panel. Kane repeatedly watched the route behind them, despite knowing it had been sealed. Malek carried the injured man, without falling out of formation. Monak studied the group in silence until an officer's voice entered through the chamber communication system. "High Commander, security units are awaiting deployment instructions. Hold them." A pause followed. "The escaped assets are approaching the restricted levels." "I am aware." "Should we prepare containment?" Monak looked at Everlyn's image. "No." The connection ended. Below, the corridor widened into a section none of them had seen before. Transparent walls lined both sides, revealing empty chambers beyond them. Restraint platforms stood inside each room, while observation equipment remained active despite the absence of subjects. Kaelruun slowed. "This sector was not used for transport." Kaelen approached the nearest viewing panel and examined the records still visible beneath its surface. "No. Captives were brought here before being sent deeper." Lira looked through the glass. "For what?" Kaelen opened another record. Biological scans appeared, then vanished behind restricted access. "Assessment." Kane moved towards the next chamber. Its restraint platform was larger than the others and marked by deep damage along one side. "Something fought back." Everlyn studied the empty rooms. "How recently were they cleared?" Kaelen checked the timestamps. "After we escaped." The group went still. Kane looked towards the corridor ahead. "He knew we were coming before we reached this level." "No," Kaelen said. "The facility knew something had happened. Whoever controls it now decided what to move once he saw the footage." Everlyn approached the final chamber. A restraint frame remained open inside, built for something much larger than a human. Malek stopped beside her. The injured man lifted his head. "They brought some of us through here." Everlyn looked at him. "You remember?" "Pieces." He stared through the glass. "Those they could not control were taken through the lower door." At the far end of the observation sector, a single entrance remained open, the route Monak had chosen for them. Kaelen accessed the panel beside it, but nothing responded. Then the door opened on its own. Kane looked at Everlyn. "That answers whether he knows we're here." Everlyn stepped towards the entrance. The chamber beyond was circular and empty, with no restraints, no guards, and no visible exits, except the one behind them. Kaelen entered last, the door sealed. She turned immediately to the panel. Blank. "Manual control." The lighting dimmed, and a low signal passed through the chamber. Then, Monak's voice entered from somewhere beyond the walls. "Everlyn!" No one moved. Malek shifted closer to her. Kane turned slowly, searching for the source. Lira's transformation deepened across her hands, while Kaelruun watched the ceiling. Everlyn remained facing forward. Monak continued. "You said you were coming." Recognition settled over her. The hunter. The recording. The commander who had watched from the other side. A pause followed. "Now you are here." Everlyn looked into the dark glass surrounding the chamber. "You opened the path." "Yes." "Why?" Monak did not answer immediately. Then another door opened on the opposite side of the room. Beyond it, the corridor descended towards the facility core. His voice returned. "Because I want to see how far you get." The connection ended. The chamber fell silent. Kane looked towards the open door. "He's testing us." Everlyn stared into the descending corridor. "No." She stepped forward. "He's learning."